In 2005, China launched its first professional golf tour. Still in the infancy of its development, professional golf here is played by a diverse group of athletes, many of whom until recently were in very different lines of work. This is the story of one of these men, Zhou Xunshu, and of the beginnings of golf in China. Zhou first heard of this sport when he began working as a security guard at a golf course in 1996.
当时呢，里面的一个管理人，他就不让我去打，其他的人都可以打，都是不让我们，尤其是我们部门的。但是有一天呢，我就突然就走到练习场去，去呢我有里面以前有一些教练嘛，他们在那练球，我和我的领导下去看。 看了之后，我说好奇，我说，我说我来试试吧。然后当时呢，他们就说，可以试，但是这个杆很贵，你不要打断了，因为说我不会打嘛，你不要打断了。然后我领导就生气了，就说打断了赔你，怎么了？如果打断了赔你，没关系。然后我拿着杆就打，当时我不是穿这个 T 恤衫，我穿的是衬衫，还打着领带。 因为平生的第一次摸球杆啊，就拿起球杆比较兴奋，你知道吗？连挥2下没打到球，第3下，然后我就把这个球打出去，打了，当时他们说有300多码，哎，对，就这样打出去。然后我领导就说，哎，可以啊，你不错。
Zhou decided to pursue a job as a golf instructor, a position that would earn him more than the roughly $200 monthly salary he was earning as a security guard. To be considered for a job as an instructor, he needed to improve his own game. The club allowed him to use its facilities, but only after working hours.
每天是早上上班，上到下午5点钟下班。5点钟下班，在南方，在广州那个天气，尤其是像秋冬在那，尤其是冬天吧，5点钟下班，6点钟就天黑了，根本没办法练球。那时候他们给那球，给多少球我练？给90颗球，90个球。 给90个球我练，你自己把它打出去，然后你自己把它捡回来，你再打出去，然后再捡回来，然后掉一个球2块钱，因为这个你打球的时间少嘛，然后捡球的时间多了嘛，因为然后其实就练得很少。
For extra practice, Zhou climbed to the roof of his building with a training kit and worked on his swing each night. He did this for more than 2 years. Entirely self-taught, he was shooting in the 70s when he approached the course about working as an instructor. They were not interested.
我说我不挣钱，我来给你们当服务员，在练习场当服务员。我说给你们当服务生，我不领工资，你们就给我吃的，给我住的就行了。哎，最后他们都不干，然后我就委托我一个朋友，就说你帮我一个忙，就说看哪个地方如果说需要请教练的或者什么的，跟我提供个机会。后来我朋友跟我建议了之后，他有一个消息告诉我之后，我就去应聘教练，然后我就离开那个地方。
Working as an instructor, Zhou began entering tournaments as well. He was now able to play professionally, to the extent possible in a country with no professional golf tour. Then the China tour came along. In 2006, Zhou attracted the interest of Dan Washburn, a Shanghai-based writer.
I didn't have an assignment at that time. I was just doing it out of my own interest. And then during the off season, I started thinking that it might be a good book project, Zhou's life and then the story of golf in China in general. And we contacted him before the 2007 season started and told him we'd like to follow him the whole way and stay with him, and he was all for it.
Dan and his assistant Alice traveled with Zhou across the country to every tournament in 2007, experiencing life on the tour firsthand.
As the season wore on, I kind of learned that these guys are trying to save as much money as they can on expenses. So most of them they don't stay at the official tour hotel because they can't afford to or would rather not pay that, knowing that there are probably cheaper options nearby. So I stayed where he stayed most of the time, and I think average price was about $12 US a night, and that's split between two people. And that's, you know, that's the life of a professional golfer in China. And these aren't, I wouldn't call them flea bags, but they're not the type of place that you would probably want to stay before, you know, a major event. Oftentimes there was noise outside. Sometimes you didn't know if the hot water was going to work. Sometimes lots of mosquitoes, depending on what part of the country you're in. So these are distractions that I think the Chinese golfers just maybe don't see as distractions, because it's just the way things are.
The night before his first round at the Shanghai Championship, Zhou relaxes in his room. He speaks with his wife on the phone as he does every day. He watches television, which broadcasts news of the earthquake which struck Sichuan province 2 days previous. He hunts the occasional mosquito. He falls asleep as he often does, with the television playing and the remote control in his hand. Tournament day. Zhou awakes promptly at 8 a.m. As he gets himself ready, there is a sense of focus about his actions. He likes to keep his mind clear in the hours leading up to a big tournament.
我是没什么想的，我是按照我的目标，就是我一杆一杆的去打，每天我都保持一个良好的一个心态去按照每天我的设计去打，然后最后打到什么样就什么样，反正经过我自己的努力嘛，打什么样算什么样。但是我想应该不会很差。
Zhou and Dan head out of the hotel in search of a place to have breakfast. Zhou insists on paying the bill. Zhou returns to the hotel alone for a few final moments of rest.